This is the North Coastal Art Gallery. I'm Cheryl, and this is our presenter, Lorraine Strieby. She's a very colorful artist, and she's got an interesting past that she's going to share with you. And we hope that you enjoy the time with us. It's going to be about an hour long, so thank you for joining us.
Okay,
Lorraine?
it's all yours.
You're welcome.
Well, my name again is Lorraine Strieby, and thank you all for coming to hear my talk. And I'm going to talk about art, but I'm going to also talk about how I got started. The theme for tonight is hurry up and wait. And that was my career. Now, I was always, we didn't have TV when I was born, so I developed a creative brain, I think. Okay, so and also I'm right-brained a little bit too, and so I have a degree in business education, and I started out at West Virginia University, and then I came to CSUN, and they changed my major on my certificate. It was business education. I also got a credential from them, which is another year, and then they changed my major to applied science. I sort of like that, but I think it's because I had to take statistics or something. I don't know, but so here I am, and the way I got started was I was teaching keyboarding, or in my day, it was typing, at West Valley Occupational Center, which is LA Unified. And I'm walking up the aisle, and I've got students on either side, and they are adults because my credential is for high school, junior high, and adults. So I'm going up the aisle, and I think to myself, I'd rather be painting. And what happened was that eventually I could afford to stop teaching and learn painting. Okay, now how do I start out? I do not want to go back to school because my whole life has been school. I don't want that. I want a mentor. So I looked up the Yellow Pages and I found a portrait painter, Jim Gaines. And so I interviewed him. He only lived a couple miles away from me, and he had his studio in a garage. Well, what happened was, besides me, another lady showed up, and her name was Eileen Woods, and she was the voice of the Disney movie Cinderella. Okay, so here we are. Jim Gaines, portrait painter. Her learning, me learning. Okay, now the way I learned it, I could probably teach you guys to be a portrait painter in about an hour because it's a formula. And so I learned on oil. Okay, so, and guess what? I was kind of good at it. And in my house in Chatsworth, I opened it up as a studio for people to come in. And I did portrait paintings, but usually the person that I was painting or the animal was deceased. And after a while, I was getting tired of painting dead people. Okay, so what happened was that, and also the three of us that I mentioned, Jim Gaines, Eileen Woods, we were written up in the LA Times, portrait painters to make money. Okay, so, but even so, I wanted to make wall art for my house and for other people's homes. And I wanted it to be fun and colorful and no depressing work for me. So that's what I wanted. And it just so happened, maybe the guy, Juan Picar, noticed me somewhere, but he approached me. He wanted to be my mentor, and he was a portrait, rather not a portrait painter, he's a sculptor. But he has a degree in art, so he can do everything. And he worked at Disney teaching artists how to how to do art. And I always thought the best artists worked for Disney, right? But that was his job. And, but he would, at that point, the very first time, he said to me, in art, the goal is to get a good painting, and you get there any way you can. So that I threw all my oils away, legally, and bought acrylics. And I'm a purist, and then everything I do is a mix with peace. And so that, I painted with him for at least 30 years. And he never tried to change me. He was a coach, and he would say, blah, 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 you got to do this or that. But he never touched my paintings. He never, it was all my ideas, and he just let me go with it. And he's so famous that he did 600 plus statues all over the world, including Traveler for University of Southern California in the mall there, Traveler. Did you know that's the mascot? Did you know his name is Tommy Trojan? He is an unofficial mascot. So the horse is the mascot and Tommy Trojan. But anyway, when it's all together, you could look it up, but it's a beautiful life size, maybe a little bigger than life size. And I was at the unveiling, and they had the Southern California University band there, and it was a big deal. But he is my mentor, actually, because I'm not a portrait painter anymore. I can do it. I did my grandkids. I'm really proud of that painting. And but I didn't stop there for me, because I happen to be a creative person, and I want now remember this is important too. Part of my speech, I'm going to quote Shakespeare. Shakespeare said in Hamlet, "There's the rub," meaning this was a very tragic sentence for him, but for me, it's how do I do what I do, and once I do it, how do I sell it and whatever. And so, is there someone out there? No. So that is, and then we get back to the title of my speech, which is "Hurry Up and Wait." Okay, so first thing, I don't do anything unless I know what I want to do. And it came to me, oh my God, the man who live in the city of angels, Los Angeles. Why not do a series of angels that you find in the city? And so this took a couple years of my life, but I did a City of Angels calendar, and I donated it to the handicapped schools, and they sold, and I just donated to the school, and they invited me down to the handicapped school downtown in LA, and I can't tell you how impressed I was, because the students down there were in wheelchairs, oxygen. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? And but they were interested in my art too, and so I taught them. Well, I'm talking to you, I talked to them. Anyway, this is the city, and you can hang it on the wall. Here was this painting was in the studio here last month. He's kind of interesting. These angels met, and he was in the Sagebrush Cantina on the weekend. He's a weekend biker, and these weekend he posed with these weekend bikers or warriors are doctors, but they're really motorcycles, and so this is what he had on. Okay, I think he was a lawyer, but it was fun to do that particular piece. So some of the other ones that I did, this one is Bus Stop Angel, and some of these got awards here. It's funny, I did paintings of LA, but down here they really like my paintings of Los Angeles. And so this was Bus Stop Angel. And I became a fan of graffiti because some of the graffiti artists are famous.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the book on famous graffiti artists, and I copied some of their style. And so a couple of these paintings, like Bus Stop Angel, he's sitting on a bench reading a newspaper. His dog is with us. And the county courthouse is a pretty famous building, and it sort of appears in all my paintings, even though these angels are never near the courthouse. So this painting is in the show to this month. It's behind you all, and it is Angels in Paradise, and the paradise is Santa Monica, overlooking the pier. The pier is famous, and you know what? Route 66 starts right there, and now, of course, it's still there, out in the desert and places like that, and they still drive, and they have stores on it and everything. But the reason I mention it is later I did a travel game that glorifies Interstate 40 and Route 66, which is probably the most famous road in the world. And so here was a painting of the fireman, and I actually was jogging in 2008. We had a horrible fire in the mountains of San Fernando Valley. Maybe you all remember that, but I was jogging and past the fire department, and these two angels came running out to get in the fire truck, and you can see smoke in the distance, but that painting is in the fire building in the recreation room of the fire department. And I don't want to talk about this one prize here. This is running on the horse. It's called Cowboy Off the 118. And Ronald Reagan's library is right off the 118. And so this is Ronnie, actually, our president. Again, there's maps of LA around. Again, everything I do is multimedia. Okay? So, acrylics, paper. I don't like to do, again, I'm not a purist. I don't do often all collage. I mix it with like watercolors or acrylics. Okay, so down here's a policeman, angel, and again, every single one you have to look for their wings, but they're there. Okay. City of Angels didn't come. Okay, so the theme is hurry up and wait. So it took me a long time to come up with City of Angels because I came to LA in '58 and I painted this in 2008, I think, around there. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is my children's books. Now, hurry up and wait. What happened with that? Okay, we lived in Chatsworth. I had horse property. I had 40 horses. And one morning I got up, came out the back door, and I ran towards the fence where the horses are. And in the lawn, there were piles of dirt, meaning that a mole was there, and if you have a pile of dirt, you have a mole hole. And so it's kind of funny that my book started with mole holes when this was at Ellison. She went down a rabbit hole. But anyway, I went down a mole hole. But what happened was that I was alarmed. I didn't want the horses to break a leg, my family to get hurt. So I tried to exterminate her, like, get rid of her. And I tried, but I just couldn't. So one of my daughters, Lisa, she came up to me and she said, "Mom, if you can't get rid of that mole, why didn't you write about it?" I thought to myself, never will I do that. But a couple days later, they came yelling, "Hey, why don't you do a children's book about a mole? She lives underneath and she has a castle with onion domes and all kinds of things." And I thought, do you know what? I would have to go to school to do this. I had a minor in English, but this was Hamlet and Shakespeare, not children's books. So again, I looked in the local newspaper, and down the street about a mile, there was an industrial building with someone who was teaching children how to write for children at night. So I signed up, and I learned a few tricks. I decided that I would write like Dr. Seuss and free verse, and that's what I did. And what would happen is, actually, it just comes into my mind to write the story, but you have to have an outline. You have to know where you're going with this. And so my first book, and the only book that I thought was my only book, was Cat Sophia and Miramoli Home. Okay, so let me see if I can find her. I bought some books.
How many books did you end up writing in total?
This one. This is my first one. And because I'm an artist, I say I can do my own illustration.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, I can visualize.
Right.
So,
can you
here.
raise your voice? Can you project a little louder?
Oh, I thought I was talking.
You're as gentle as a kid.
Well, can I come closer?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to be bombastic. Okay, this is Cat Sophia, and